While I'm speaking, God will bring up an issue and you start taking notes and you quit listening to what I'm even saying, but you're writing down something else God is speaking. That's okay too. I just want to give you permission to engage with this message the way that you need to for your soul tonight. It's an important one. Philippians chapter 1, verse 12. Now, I want you to know, brothers and sisters, that what has happened to me has actually served to advance the gospel. As a result, it has become clear throughout the whole palace guard and to everyone else that I am in chains for Christ. And because of my chains, most of the brothers and sisters have become confident in the Lord and dare all the more to proclaim the gospel without fear. It's true that some preach Christ out of envy and rivalry, but others out of goodwill. The latter do so out of love, knowing that I am put here for the defense of the gospel. The former preach Christ out of selfish ambition, not sincerely, supposing that they can stir up trouble for me while I am in chains. But what does it matter? See, Paul's not young anymore. He doesn't think everything is important. He's not trying to get validation from people anymore. He's been serving God for over 30 years. And now he's got that old man swag where he just doesn't care anymore. If you like me or if you don't like me, he says, I'm not so consumed about that. What does it matter? The important thing is that in every way, whether from false motives or true, Christ is preached. And because of this, I rejoice. Yes, and I will continue to rejoice. I know you think I'm crazy for acting happy when my life gives me no reason to be happy, but I'm going to keep doing it, for I know that through your prayers and God's provision of the Spirit of Jesus Christ, what has happened to me will turn out for my deliverance. I eagerly expect and hope, apokaradokia, Greek word, that I will in no way be ashamed, but will have sufficient courage so that now, as always, see, when God has seen you through enough stuff, you don't fear the future because you know God is already there. And when God has already been faithful to you on one level, you don't have to look around your shoulder to see if the devil's gonna win this time, because you can know that God's past faithfulness is a predictor of his future faithfulness. So you can walk in the confidence to know that God did not bring me this far to leave me. And if the devil could have killed me, he would have killed me by now. But the hand of God is on my life. I said you didn't have to stand up. Only if you want to. Only if you want to. So I know that what happened to me will turn out for my deliverance, so that now, as always, Christ will be exalted in my body, whether by life or by death. For to me, to live is Christ and to die is gain. Man, if I'm to go on living, that'll mean fruitful labor for me. Yet what shall I choose? That's the thing. Okay. What shall I choose? I don't know. I'm torn between the two. I kind of want to die because I'm old and I'm going to heaven, and heaven sounds kind of nice because right now I'm in this prison and I'm awaiting trial before Caesar, and I don't know if I'm going to live or die, and I got a lot of enemies. So it'd be kind of nice to leave this earth. So part of me wants to go, which is better by far, but it is more necessary for you that I remain in the body. I'm convinced of this. I know that I will remain and I will continue with all of you for your progress and joy in the faith, so that through my being with you, again, your boasting in Christ Jesus will abound on account of me. The title of this message is Choosing Your Chains. Choosing your chains. You know what I hated about being 15? I hated not having control over my own life. I hated the sense that I didn't get to make my own decisions. I hated the sense that somebody was always telling me what I could and couldn't do. And I hated the fact that there were so many things that I didn't get a choice in. Like it went all the way from what time I had to be home. I didn't get to choose that. It went from even certain friends that I could and couldn't hang out with, because every once in a while, my parents would make a seemingly arbitrary decision that certain kids weren't good for me to hang out with. And I think I'm a control freak, because I always hated the sense that I wasn't in control. I hated when I couldn't drive. I hated when I was dependent on somebody else for a ride. I hated that I didn't get to choose my own classes, that they told me which classes to take. I hated something about being young didn't agree with me, because I hated the sense of having no control. How many of you are kind of like me and you're a little bit of a control freak and you don't like being in situations? I mean, even this week, how many of you, it was kind of hard for you to not have your normal routine because you like being in control, and it was hard for you to go along with a different schedule, and it was hard for you to show up in certain places at certain times because it's not what you're used to? Yeah, there's something, and it's not all of us. I know some of us don't really mind, but some of us really like to be in control. And when our sense of control is threatened, it makes us anxious, it makes us irritable, it makes us afraid. And I only bring that up because we're seeing the Apostle Paul, right, who is like the most important missionary of all time. And he's in a situation now at this point in his life where the circumstances are outside of his control. And he's locked up as a prisoner, and he's been falsely accused of some things that he didn't do. And so now he's writing back home to this church that he started. Now, this church, the church at Philippi, was the first church he started in Europe. And the way he started it was, one time he was there and he was having some meetings, and they locked him up in prison. And at midnight, he was singing and praying, and God sent an earthquake to the prison. And when he started praising God, the prison started shaking and his chains came loose. And not only his chains, but everybody's chains around him, which, by the way, this is a side note that has nothing to do with my sermon. I need you to know your praise breaks chains. So the next time depression comes on you and you feel bound, and the next time you feel like your situation is bigger than your strength is, I need you to know and touch the person next to you and say, my praise breaks chains. So I don't just have to sit in situations and pray for God to get me out of them. I can praise God in difficult situations. And if I keep my mind right and my spirit right and my heart set on things above, my praise breaks chains. That's why some of you have felt the joy of the Lord in your life over the past 3 days, because you've been praising God at a new level. And while you're praising God, chains are falling off of your mind, chains of addiction, chains of insecurity. Chains break when praise rises. I wish Elevation Youth would take over Elevation Church this weekend. I wish you would show up at every campus with this same energy. I wish you would jump. I wish you would clap. I wish you would holler. I wish you would scream. Show your parents how to do it. You might be an example for your parents. Now, Paul is writing to this church at Philippi that he founded a long time ago. And he's updating them on his situation, and it's not good. He's in prison. He's been here for a while, and nothing is changing. He has to stand before Caesar, and Caesar is either going to let him live or kill him because he's accused of being a cult leader. And from this prison cell, he writes a book to the church at Philippi about joy and freedom. You missed it. He wrote a book from prison about joy and freedom. You still didn't get it. Because when you get what I'm just saying, you're gonna understand that what happens next in your life is not dependent on your environment or your situation or your genetics. And Paul's like, I want you to know that even though I'm in chains, even though I'm stuck here for a little while, let me just see if I got the right message because I prayed about it. Wave at me if you have a situation that you have to go back to where you feel stuck in it. Yeah. So this is the message we need tonight. Because Paul is stuck in a situation. He did not choose the situation. But watch what he does. And man, when I saw this, I was like, some kids are gonna get set free on Friday night. No, I'm serious. He said, verse 13, it has become clear throughout the whole palace guard and to everyone else that I am, say the next phrase out loud, in chains for Christ. That's a strange thing to say because it's not like Jesus is the one who put him in chains. And it's not like God is the one who does bad stuff. And it's not like God made your parents get a divorce. Or it's not like that God had your dad walk out when you were a little boy so you'd be raised without a father. And it's not like God gave you the shame that you're carrying around. Paul says, I'm in chains for Christ. Now, I wasn't chained by Christ. God did not do this. But now that I'm in chains, I am making a choice. Everybody say choice. And that's really when your life changes, not when you sing a song, pray a prayer, or even come to an experience called Youth X. But what has to happen tonight for this change that has started in your life to continue and move forward and make a difference, you have to make a choice. And I don't think you understand the power of a single choice. Paul said, I'm choosing in my situation to see my chains as something God can use. This makes no sense to the natural mind because Paul could preach to so many more people if he wasn't in these chains. Paul could start so many more churches if he wasn't in these chains. Paul could go and raise offerings for churches that were poor. Paul could fight the good fight and take the word of God forward all through the Roman Empire, if not for these chains. But here's what he does. He looks at the thing that seems to be holding him back. And he says, I didn't choose these chains. I didn't want to be here. I don't like prison food. I don't like this orange jumpsuit. I don't want to be here. I hope God gets me out. I'd like to be back with you. I did not choose these chains. And some of you have situations in your life tonight that you did not choose. Some of you have sickness in your body. Some of you have mental disorders. Some of you have panic attacks. Some of you have eating disorders. Some of you have learning disabilities. It's not that God gave you those chains, but now you have to choose. If God doesn't take them away, if God doesn't remove the chains, will you use the chains to glorify his name and show the world that even in my chains, I'm free. Even in my chains, I'm saved. Even with these chains on my feet, I have a living hope. It's the choice you make. He made a choice. One little choice. He could have chosen in this moment to assume that God did not love him, because why would God leave me in this prison if he loved me? And some of you will walk away from God because he won't give you the answer to the prayer that you wanted, and you won't even understand that God is using the thing that you want him to take away to show the world who he is through you. And so you make choices now, right now in your life about the kind of person you want to become. You'll make some good ones, you'll make some bad ones. The kind of people you're going to let into your life. The kind of people that you're going to that you're gonna really show yourself to, the kind of language that you're gonna use, is fine. It's just a little choice. God ain't gonna give you a brain tumor if you cuss. That's what I used to preach when I was a mean preacher, but I don't believe that anymore. I believe that the grace of God is good enough to cover anything you do. But the grace of God does not cancel out the consequence of my choices. And you got some choices to make, and they're not gonna be big choices. I clapped him. He said 400 people made decisions for Christ in our middle school and youth high school. And let's go ahead and, let's go and celebrate it. Let's go and celebrate it. Let's go and celebrate it. That's a big choice. Oh. Theologically speaking, you didn't choose God, he chose you. So it wasn't even your choice that saved you. It was God's choice to call you out and to snatch you and to cleanse you and to call you. But this is not a sermon about big choices. This is not about who you'll marry. I'm not talking about that tonight. We got years to figure that out. I'm talking about the choices you're gonna make tomorrow. The little choices. Because the way the enemy works, he's so smart. He knows if he can get you to make little choices that compromise who you are, today's choices will become tomorrow's chains. Little choices. So if he can introduce you to something, just a little something, if he can just get you to experiment with porn right now, it can lock something in your mind. And it's not that looking at a little bit of porn will send you to hell or make you a bad person, but if he can get you to make the choice to do it once, then maybe you do it again. And so it was a choice, you know. We make these choices. You make a choice to lie, and you tell your parents you were there and you weren't, but it's just a little choice and what's a little lie. The problem with choices is, I want you to put choice on the screen, is that choices become habits. I'm not here to beat up on you. Look, I've made some really dumb choices that at the time it just seemed like, a little thing. It didn't seem like a big deal, and maybe it wasn't. But the problem is you become what you repeatedly do. And so when you make the choice just to do the little thing, whatever that little thing is, it's not always porn or lying, it's anything. I notice this all the time in my eating because I'm not able to just enjoy a few chips. For me, it's either broccoli or the whole bag of Doritos. I have no self-control and no self-restraint. So I don't have moderation in my life. And now my choice becomes a habit. And when something becomes a habit, it becomes automatic. And so now I'm not even really choosing to do it anymore. I'm not even choosing to lash out anymore. So I made the choice to be angry because I lose my temper all the time. And if I respond in anger all the time and I just learn how to solve stuff with anger, it'll work and it'll push people away and it'll get me through situations. But then it becomes a habit. And before I know it, I'm not even choosing to get angry anymore. It's just automatic. And now it's no longer a choice. It's not a choice anymore. It's gone beyond a choice. It's gone beyond a habit. It's become automatic. And now it's my identity. Now it's not even just what I do. It's become who I am. And now I can't separate my identity as a child of God because he still loves me, but I can't feel his love or see his love or sense his love because I become more identified with my chains than his grace. And it didn't look like a chain at first. It was one choice, but the choice became a habit. The habit became automatic. And then it became my identity. And now it's my nature. And now my choice. It's stuck. Can you help me? I just need somebody to help me. I don't know who. Would you help me? Do you mind for this? Yeah, you mind? No, yeah, that other guy. You'd be good too. I need him though. I need him. He's the first one I saw. Yeah, let me use him. Yeah, he seems like the right one. I'm not rejecting you or nothing like that. It's just that his wrist is the right size for this illustration. That's the only reason why. Because I didn't realize when I was making those choices, stand right there, that while I was making little choices, the enemy was trying to get me in this chain. Because now he knows, how old are you?
14.
If I can get him to make some choices while he's 14, somebody come tighten this for me, because here, I got it. I was just kidding. Just wanted to see if you were willing. Because now I got you. Because I convinced you that these little choices don't matter. And then it became a habit that became automatic, and you thought it was who you were, and now it's second nature. So now I can just, now I got you. But see, now, if I came at you with this chain, you would run because you would see it for what it was. So I don't come at you with the chain. I come at you with the choice. But I got you. So now you're not 14 anymore. You're 18. But some choices that I got you to make that became habits and became so automatic and ingrained, and you just did it over and over again, because practice doesn't make perfect. Practice makes permanent. And so now I thought that's who I was, and I became ashamed, and I'm just dragging you. And so now you're 23 years old, and you're going to get married. But when you were 14, 15, 16, I got you chained by your choices. So now, walk this way, you're gonna try to go love your wife, but I'm not gonna let you, because I got you on this chain. So I'm gonna pull you back into some stuff that's gonna keep you miserable and bound and down and out. And this is why we preach to you like we preach to you, because I'm tired of seeing God's children in chains. Chains of fear and shame and regret, to where you can't think straight. And now the enemy becomes your master. You know, you're going to be a slave to something. Everybody in this room is going to serve something. What are you going to serve? Paul called himself a servant of Jesus Christ. I'm not a slave to sin any longer. Those chains are broken. So now Paul says, and this is the good part of the message. Paul says, because of my chains, God is being glorified. In fact, he said, if you gave me the choice to get out of these chains or to stay in these chains, if staying in these chains means that God gets the glory, I choose the chains. So God, if you can use me, if you want to use my story, even all the painful parts, God, you can use me. Because I'm not a slave to sin. I'm not a slave to fear. I'm a child of God. In fact, you know what Paul's saying? Paul says, I'm chained to grace. Isn't that good? This illustration is going to take a positive turn right now, my man. Because I was the devil, but now I'm going to be God. Let me show you what happens when you get chained to grace. Touch somebody, say, I'm chained to grace. Okay, give me verse 17 again. I think that's the one. Paul says, some people like me, some people don't. Some people are helping me, some people are hurting me. But the important thing, no, it's verse 18. The important thing is, no, that's the wrong verse too. What's the one that says, yeah, there it is. The important thing is, it's 18. The important thing is, now, whatever you put next after that determines what you're chained to. He gets it. I picked the right kid. He gets it. He said, the important thing is that I fulfill my purpose. If you get chained to popularity, how people feel about you can always just jerk you around. And if they like you, you're good. And if they don't, you're down. If you get chained, if you make the most important thing in your life right now, you know, how much you're gonna have one day, or if you make the most important thing in your life, how you feel at any given moment. And the whole thing about your life is that you're chained to your feelings, then the enemy's always gonna have you on his chain. And he can yank your chain anytime he wants. And your faith will go up and down and in and out. But if you say, the important thing is, and this is the choice that I would love to see you make tonight. While you're young, right now, before you're all bound up. I know you made some mistakes before, but it's not too late. God got you here just in time. I mean, just in time. Just in time to break the chains before it chokes the life out of you. You made it just in time. That's what this week was about. It wasn't about a battle dome. It wasn't about a dance party or a DJ. Thank God for all of it. God brought you here to break the chains while there's still time so you could fulfill his purpose for your life. Shout it again. Say, I'm chained to grace. Paul said, these chains on my feet don't determine my joy because my purpose is to fulfill God's calling on my life. So now, here's what happens. What's your name? You've been up here all this time. Luke. Luke, let's say you try to get away from God, and let's say you make a choice today that, you know what, the priority of my life is the presence of God, not popularity, not the opinions of people, not some accomplishment that's going to be empty when I get it anyway. I'm going to listen to my pastor tonight, and he's telling me that the only thing that matters is what Paul said mattered. The only thing that matters is the purpose of God in my life. I'm chained to grace. I'm chained to purpose. So now watch this, Luke. Try to get away from me. I might be old, but I lift, bro. You chained to grace. Come on, I need you to celebrate that. Even if I want to get away, try as hard as... No, sir. You can't escape these chains. Whom the Son sets free is free indeed. I'm chained to grace. Go on, back to your seat. Nope. God says, I'm not done with you yet. I'm not done with you yet. I know about the addiction and I chose you anyway. And I want you to stop tormenting yourself over things that you can't control. You're choosing your chains tonight. You want to be chained to the grace of God? Or you want to be chained to your feelings? You want to be chained to fake friends who come and go? Luke, I went to my 20-year anniversary, high school anniversary last month. They're good people. And I know that they're I know that they're important to God. But what they think of me isn't important to me. So I'm trying to preach this to you now. Why would you chain yourself to people's opinions who aren't even going to be in your life in 20 years? That's it, right? That's why some of you tried to run from God and you couldn't. You tried not to believe in God, but that little thing won't go away because there's a calling on your life. And you are chained to the grace of God. And if you make the choice to become a worshiper, it'll become a habit. And when it becomes a habit, it'll become automatic. And when it becomes automatic, it'll be your identity. Worship is not what I do. Worship is who I am. I'm gonna need somebody in the back to jump up and worship God like you know who you are. It's my nature. I'm gonna let you keep this. Remember this night. Stand up. God chose you. He chose you to be in that seat. He chose you to live in that house. I understand. Some of you are in abusive situations. Paul was too. Doesn't make the situation okay. But God is greater than the situation. He's even gonna use those chains. So I'm choosing today to chain my life to something bigger than what happens to me or what I feel about it. I gotta make this choice because I can't spend the rest of my life just getting dragged around. The devil yanking my chain anytime he wants to. I belong to God. I'm his. I'm his servant. And that means I can't spend any more time serving stupid stuff that doesn't matter. The important thing is, whatever you make important is what you chain your joy to. Whatever you make important is what you chain your peace to. If you make this God, my God, the everlasting God, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob, if you make this God, Yahweh, Emmanuel, God with us, if you make this God your God, nothing on earth will be able to move you.